You're listening to the Blacktop Banter podcast, the premier podcast in the asphalt industry, made for contractors with contractors.
Hey everybody, welcome back for another episode of Blacktop Banter. Very happy to be back here. Today's podcast is a special one for me. Keith Kalfas owns Kalfas Services. His LinkedIn profile states, "Evolution, dedicated to constantly learning and growing. At night I look at the stars and I ask God for wisdom." He is a longtime friend of mine, spoke at the KM event recently. He is a mentor of mine and was there at the catalyst moment that a lot of you have heard about in my life when I started down this journey of social media, Blacktop Banter, and finding myself. I've been following his lead and insight for years, and I'm thankful he is here today. He joins us. I'm very proud of that, and he's here on Blacktop Banter. Keith, thanks for joining us, man.
What's up, bro? Thanks for having me on your show.
Hey, man, I'm glad you're here. We've had a run, dude, and recently was able to link up at Equip, which was very exciting, and then made it work over in Michigan for our event. You and I are more similar than we are unlike, and ironically, we are, in my opinion, a lot different than a lot of people. So I appreciate that, and it gives us kind of a common ground. A lot of times when we've called and been on the phone, we've called and mentioned one thing, and I'm like, yep, I totally have thought about that in this perspective. And then when I get to talk to you, I'm like, hey, have you ever thought like this? And a lot of times you're like, hold on, let me open my phone. And you've elaborated and went a lot deeper than I have on a lot of these thoughts. So I'm excited to have you here today. I know you've created tons of content. You're a mentor and a content leader in the green industry, where I cut my teeth, where I learned to do what I do over here. And we could always do the traditional Blacktop Banter contractor thing, where I asked you, tell us about your business. Where are you located at? What do you service? We know what type of equipment you got. What do you get? But I feel like I would be amiss, and it would be squandering what I believe is your God-given gifts and how you are if I don't ask you the questions that I would ask you if I had some alone time with you. So I will start with one that hopefully sets the pace for a lot of the listeners. And that is, how did you get into entrepreneurship, Keith?
Interesting. I didn't think I was, wow, that's a great question. Yeah. So back when I was a kid, I was cutting grass with my dad. I was like 12, 13. Well, actually from 9, 10, 11, and 12, and 13, 14, like 5 years. And like $4 to $5 a lawn. And I was like, Dad, when I hit like 17, let's start a business together. He's like, oh, no. Because my personality was very like, I don't know, kind of gung-ho-ish. So I started little lawn care businesses with my friends, and I tried to clean windows and stuff all when I was a kid, probably like most entrepreneur-minded people. And I didn't have the confidence to make it work, or I don't know, I just ended up getting jobs and then cutting grass and stuff. And then on the side, I was always doing multi-level marketing, like where you put on like a suit and tie and stand in people's living rooms with a board and an easel and try to get them into your spiel, like selling vitamins and online stuff. And so getting around these, book of the week, book and tape of the week, and going to these monthly conventions and traveling around, going to stadiums of people, watching millionaires go on stage at these things. While landscaping drove me insane because I got around some really successful people. And so I was entrepreneurial back then. I wouldn't have called it that. Mm-hmm. But I never really wanted to start a business, but I couldn't stand working for other people, and I wanted my freedom. So I guess that's what being entrepreneurial is that I just did a video of 50 jobs. I had 50 jobs. It's on YouTube at Keith Kalfas. Mm-hmm. And I went and visited. I've had like 57 actual jobs, but I was able to visit about 50 locations. And I was like, I worked here. They fired me. They fired me. And then at the end, I'm like, I'm not cut out for the 9 to 5, bro. And that's like the video is like, you don't have to go through all that. But it's like having a boss, another man, sit there and tell me what to do, or when I can use the bathroom, when I can take a break, is like, get the fuck out of here, bro.
Yeah, man. I think, and for a lot of people, it resonates well, right? I didn't work 50 jobs. I worked one job So it'd be a normal job making pizzas at a gas station, and I was like, "There's no way." I didn't know like the implications of my entire life, but I knew right there in that moment that there's no way I'm going to do this for my entire life. So I had been doing roofing with my cousin's father and them, and he was an entrepreneur. Obviously, he owned the roofing company. And dude, I started asking questions and just asking and asking. I was like, okay, from here, I am going to do my own thing. I will stay
You did
here.
roofing, bro?
I did roofing, yeah, from 12 years old until I was 22, 23.
Oh, roofing.
Yep. Oh, dude. So I started like with the worst. So blacktop work really isn't that bad for me because, dude, I roofed hard and heat. I would remember looking over at Jack, who I would call dad essentially at that point, on a hotel roof we did, and the heat waves were so bad. He was doing this, like the slithery snake thing in the heat waves. His body was, and I was like, oh my God, it's hot up here. Right. That's when I realized it. But yeah, man, I did roofing. So once I
Hey,
leapfrogged from there, I knew
one
I had
quick
to be
thing.
an
Oh, I'm sorry. I
entrepreneur.
thought you were changing the subject. Keep going. Sorry.
Uh-uh. Oh, cool. So
Keep going.
I leapfrogged, right, and started doing my own thing on the asphalt maintenance side. And then I think when I met you, I was at the ultimatum, and I was young. If you remember, I still had probably hair on top of my head, and my face was a lot smoother. But I essentially never had set goals. All I knew, I wanted a house, a family, and a vehicle. Like once I got that, I'd be happy. Like that was my only goal as a kid and as a teenager. And I did that when I was 25 or so, and then lived that life for 3 years. And after 3 years, I was like, I was trapped. Essentially, I realized I was trapped. Either way, I was trapped. I was trapped when I went to work for somebody, and I was trapped when I built this business, and all I was going to do was go home at night, go to bed, wake up, make blacktop black, go home, go to bed, wake up, make blacktop black. And I was just going to live this linear life like forever. And all of a sudden something cracked in my brain, and I was like, there has to be more, and I have to figure it out. I watched a video from somebody we know, and it featured somebody else we know, but on the suggested videos was one of your videos. And all of a sudden I realized all these people were going to be at a conference, and I was going to go and I was going to ask certain questions. It had nothing to do with lawn care or anything. And I asked those questions around, and people thought I was crazy. And then when I came to you, you had been fielding a lot of questions from a lot of people, and just people wanting to take pictures and do some things. And I remember you handed me a card and was like, hey, I got a lot of content here. You can check it out, do whatever. When I asked you the question, how do I defeat it? Like, how do I build it so I'm happy? And I handed you the card back and started to walk away. And we've told this story a bunch, but you chased me down in the parking lot through the mob of people and asked me why I asked that question. And since then, we've been friends, and I think we've been on a similar parallel journey from there.
Yeah, dog.
I know, man. It's a cool story. It's going to be a good one. It's going to be a really, really good one day when we get to the end. I want to ask you this. I feel the question, I was kind of torn a little bit asking it because I don't think it's fair, because I don't think you are like myself. You are in the midst of actualizing the real full version of yourself and who you're going to become. But I want to ask you at least up to this point. What have you learned most? What have you learned most
What
about
have I
this
learned
journey
most?
and through this journey? Yeah. What have you learned most? Because a lot of people are on an entrepreneurial journey and a life journey at the same time. What have you learned most?
Bro, you think
It's a lot.
like, if you, like, integrity is everything. My friend, actually one of my best friends, he drank himself to death. But he said that his grandfather, who was an entrepreneur, told him, you got two things in this life. You got your word and you got your balls. If you, without either of them, or you've got nothing, bro. Like, that's what it really comes down to. And bro, that's true. That's what I've learned.
I'm going to ask you
And I'm
to
talking your
elaborate a
word in
little
your
bit.
business, to your clients, to your customers, to your family, to, like, anybody asks me a question, I'm answering a question with a question. If anybody's asking me to do anything, I don't even care what, even if my wife says, like, if I haven't looked at my account, now, of course, my wife's making dinner. I'm going to be ready at the dinner table, 6:00. We do date night. Like, my wife comes first. My wife would be like, hey, do you want to come with me to Target at 7 p.m.? I'd be like, I don't know. There's like a 14% chance that I can, but right now I'm doing this and I have to look at my calendar. Like, I won't ever just say yes, because if you say yes, bro, now you're going to Target, and I will literally, if I tell my wife, yes, I'm going to Target, That trumps anything else I had. I don't care if I got something that's making me $2,500 at 7 p.m. We're going to Target and I am making, because it's like, and now I just, so like your word is so, I've even bought a Black's Law dictionary, and I'm getting into, I'm not saying I'm getting into trust law, but I have some friends that are really deep into like, and I'm not talking about like legal attorney stuff. I'm talking about like law and like Christ and the word, like, bro, integrity. Like, you're better off laying down and getting 100 lashings and getting your head cut off than, I don't know, let's say standing at the Golden Gates, and I know this is getting deep fast, so people listening, don't tune out. I'm going to make the whole thing about this. Then standing there and Jesus playing like the whole movie of your life and being like, oh, like, what's that about?
Yeah.
You know, it's like, do
Yeah.
something, praying for forgiveness and repenting and correcting your ways, because you will drift farther and farther off. And I'm fascinated by people that run huge businesses and become astronomically successful and have like healthy, happy families and all these things. And what are the common denominators? And if you analyze their life, their businesses, their books, their client relationships, and you find out, like, at any part, did they shortcut the process or break their integrity in order to, you know, let's say make money, things like that. And I just don't think that it's worth it. And some of the things, say commerce is adversarial. It's a first stage exchange. It's like, get what you can get. Or so it's like, for instance, like if you're selling somebody a landscaping job and you ask them everything they want, if your price is double than the other company, or double a blacktop price, like literally double than some chuck, then out of integrity, it's your integrity to show the customer, the potential customer, you're sitting there with like all the reasons why that your price is double and that they should go with you, and why it could be a potential risk to go with somebody else, and why you stand behind your work, and why they're going to get great and like all these things. So integrity is a good thing that can make you more money and feed your family and be able to put money in your retirement account. And integrity is actually saving your customer from making a stupid decision of going with somebody else that could cut corners, but then get in where you fit in. Like, sometimes it's not the right customer. So I could talk about this shit for hours, but it's like,
I know.
Integrity is good.
It's a one word, right? And I think a lot of times I've heard you answer with one words, because you've thought the process all the way through that leads up to that one word, and then all the branching implications that come off of it if it's broken or if it's maintained, which is very similar to how my mind works. Before I jump into the last question, I'm going to throw one in here that I didn't tell you I was going to ask you before there, only because of how deep you went real quick, and the similarities between you and I. I struggle, and I think you know that. I kind of talk to you about that once in a while. I struggle because I believe I'm an intellectual, very, very deep intellectual, and I think about every aspect of it. I know we can't be the only ones that are entrepreneurs that are like that. I heard something, or I seen a meme or something online, and it said, to be successful, you need to be confident and ignorant, right? And it's like, yes, I've seen those guys. That was my frustrating thing, where you were at that event, you seen millionaires on stage shaking their hands and stuff, and all I could think was not necessarily those guys, but the guys that I would meet that were quote unquote just crushing it and way more successful than I were. I would get done with a conversation with them and I'd be like, I know I'm smarter than this guy. I know I am. What the hell am I doing wrong? And why can't I figure this out? And it came to me, and that quote hit me today, because I realized that a long time ago. They don't even think, dude. They have no fear. They just have faith and they just go and they do it, and I'll deal with it later. Where mine starts to inhibit me. I'm thinking, oh, these tangents, oh my God, it could go this way, it could go that way. What am I sacrificing? I know if I choose something, I'm giving up something to gain something. What am I giving up? And if I give that up, what happens down this way? What happens that way? And if I choose it, I could go this way, but it could also go this way. And I know that your brain similarly functions that same way, and a lot of people listening are. How do we deal with that, man? Like, how do we deal with that?
Yeah.
That's
One
Marvin
example.
asking Keith. That's Marvin asking Keith. That's not necessarily a podcast one, but that's Marvin asking Keith.
So you can be a person of, average motivation, average intelligence, average work ethic, and well, let's say above average, because average is actually kind of low. But you can do a whole bunch of shit, and then one thing pops off and is working really well. Mm-hmm. And I've seen this happen, and I go, what? This? this is working? This is bullshit. All these other things I've tried that doesn't work, and then this is just working like gangbusters, pisses me off. So what I'm saying is there's a whole bunch of factors at play that, like, I've heard somebody say something one time about Bill Gates being a billionaire. Like, do you understand how many factors, if you look at like the history of like the world, and I'm extrapolating this myself, he was born in the exact right time and place and right month in the right city in when Silicon Valley and all these things were starting to happen. And like, I don't even know what I'm talking about, but listen to my, because I hate that when you be saying something and then you're insinuating what you really mean, and then some jokester will be like, no, like we'll say something like just totally. That's not my point. But like my point is that like all these factors came into place that when the iron was striking and it was perfectly hot, and boom, things took off. Now there's so many other decisions that come into play after you strike something and it starts to work like gangbusters. How intelligent and aware are you to pay attention to that and capitalize on that, and how long will that opportunity last? I know somebody who was pretty much broke for a long time, and they got really a high level of awareness around a certain topic, and with kind of like COVID and certain things that happened, they striked and started up a business at the perfect time, and boom, broke right through to 850,000 in the first year at an extremely high profit margin. It was like 95%. Wait, I'm sorry. No, there's 80, 90, somewhere around 90% profit margins. And that lasted for like, I don't know, 2 years. And now it's starting to just taper off and drop. So it's like, do you go and I'm obsessed with this shit too. I was just thinking about this earlier. We're scaling the online business. We're ripping up the floorboards. We're doing stuff that I can't even talk about right here. It would take 8 hours. And I'd love to, but you think you know what success is because you see some other guy who appears to be successful. But I believe if you sat, 8 out of 10 of them down in a chair and you really drilled them, are they analyzing, because they might just keep striking where the iron's hot and they're just chips are falling where they may, and they appear to be a genius, but and of course they're smart, of course they work hard, of course they're aware, but are they analyzing every single click, where the leads are coming in, the marketing, the are they analyzing, this is business speaking, are they analyzing everything from top to bottom of the funnel and knowing exactly where the acquisition and customer behavior and see, even as I talk, I don't want to distort people's frame of thought or reference because what I really actually mean is how long can that person sustain that without burning out? Dude, I just need to shut up, bro, because
were they prepared? Like, were they even prepared? That's the thing, is there's guys that I think about that in this way. So I'll give them some context so that you're not the only one in the ship on the podcast episode. How big of an opportunity did they miss before they were prepared? And we're looking at the one that they capitalized on once they were prepared, and it's a mere fragment of what was possible, right? If they would have been prepared beforehand. So I think about this a lot, which is why I try to consume as much knowledge as I can, whether it's podcasts or mentors or people or books or whatever, because it became apparent to me that I probably missed opportunities before I became quote unquote enlightened. As I just say it, it's easier for me just to say enlightened because it encompasses everything and people listening to it. But it's a struggle. One thing I think you've become really good at, and you've helped mentor me at, even without speaking it, as I just observe, is being comfortable with your own journey. And I think you do a great job of measuring to who you were yesterday and measuring who you can be tomorrow. And that's about as far as it goes. And for me, that's exciting because that's what's kept me sane as well going through there. Am I right to say that that's probably the best way if your minds think like ours and you're in an entrepreneurial journey?
I love what you're saying. I mean, I'm enduring the most amount of frustration I've ever experienced. I'm more successful than I've ever been. I have more money in the bank. My credit score is the highest it's ever been. I have the best relationships I've ever had. I'm in the best health I've ever been in. I am closer to God than I've ever been. And I am the most frustrated that I've ever been. And this could destroy all my credibility on, I don't give a fuck I'll just, cause I just want to help people. Bro, I've literally gotten my wife excited, and we go on, Zillow or on YouTube, and we look at these beautiful beach houses in Michigan. It's a dream to be able to have a house. Now, of course, I want to donate endless money to help kids with cancer and to charities and help homeless people. I want to do all that stuff.
Yeah.
And I am a completely, well, actually, if this were transcribing what I was saying, I don't want to say I'm a complete blah 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 greedy guy, just for sake of humor. But I also, like Jim Carrey posted that meme floating all over Instagram. I wish people could become the biggest celebrities and stars and make the millions of dollars just so they could see that that's not the thing.
Yeah.
Well, I knew way back in the day. I was aware of this shit 15 years ago.
Yeah,
I'm like,
same.
but dude, I'm the guy who's got to take my ass whoopings, and I have to start a service business from square one, and I have to go through all the pain and suffering and figure out what it's like to be a chuck on a truck, then deal with employee issues, then try to grow the business, and the profit margins aren't high enough to scale. So I got to go back down, and I keep fucking with that. And I got to learn my books and blah, blah, blah. And while we're working 80-hour a week, literally, I have to go through the real pain and suffering, enlightenment by way of the cross, suffering, to feel that. And I knew that I wasn't going to be able to shortcut any of that. And I'm no special and no different. No, so you look at some of the people and go, how the fuck do they have a beach house off the water? How do they, talking about this is, and because if you look at the 20% rule and real liquid money off profit margins, if you have $1 million business, you probably make 20% profits, which is 20% net. If you have something that costs $100,000, you have to go make $500,000 in revenue to be able to get that 100,000 profit. So if you want a new truck that costs $1,000 a month, at the 20% rule, you got to sell and generate an extra $5,000. So I'm looking at math and numbers so people are like, oh, you have some money in the bank, or you're making no. If you're hyper specific and clear about goals and money and margins and percentages and where things really come from, bro, you think you got a little bit of success because you made $400,000 in your business and you have fucking $50,000 in the bank, bro, you ain't got shit. You're just scratching the surface. And what it's going to really take to become successful, you're in cash flow purgatory, don't even know it. Like, what it really takes is a transformation of who you are. You have to upgrade your whole being and your worthiness and everything. You got to get fucking serious about a lot of shit. And because you only have 24 hours in a day, and your influence, so the challenges are real, bro.
The thing that reminds me of and brings to my attention are the guys who are feeling that and don't know that. They don't know that they need to change who they are. They don't know they need to change the way they think. They don't know they need to change their understanding of the way things work. Their immediate reaction is, I got to make more money. Like, if I make more money, it's going to solve it. Like, I won't worry about this, right? And they don't have the inkling of, it's like you were saying, I got to take my beating. They need to go feel that and understand it, apparently, because the Jim Carrey meme, or people who speak into their lives or whatever that say that's not what it's about, don't go that route, be happy now, be happy your whole life. They don't do that, right? Because of the way society's impressed everything on them. They want to make more money. That's going to solve the problem. I would confidently say I'm not in that category. I'm thankful for that. And a lot of that has come by way of your. In my opinion, Dynapac CC900G roller is the best roller on the market for driveway and small parking lot paving contractors. The seismic technology in these rollers is unbeatable for the smoothness and compaction they provide. Take my word for it, or visit Dynapac.com to find a dealer near you.
Hey, Blacktop Banter fans, this is Michael with Aquafault. Aquafault is the only permanent repair material for asphalt and concrete that uses water. And installation is simple. Just pour, add water, and tamp. It's that easy. An Aquafault repair can be open to traffic immediately and fully sealed within 24 hours. Visit aquafault.com to learn more.
I work closely with KM International to design what I believe is the best seal coating unit on the market. The Blacktop Banter Edition seal coating unit, available in both 550 and 700 gallon versions. Learn more about the unit by visiting kminternational.com.
Quick startups, fume-free, automatic agitator shutoff, a splash-proof lid, and pumping on demand. These features are essential for any serious asphalt maintenance contractor. Elevate your game with the Crafco SuperShot line of melters by visiting crafco.com today.
Hi contractors, it's Kyla from Wiscoat. We use Stencil Plus for all of our pavement marking stencils. You can save 10% on your stencil order by using code BB10 during checkout at stencilplus.com or by calling 877-372-6055.
In the past year, Jobber has been our CRM of choice at Wiscode, and it's made our world exponentially better efficiency-wise. For our small seal coating company, it has helped build the solid foundation we can scale from. Jobber is now a sponsor of Blacktop Banter and helps bring this show to you. With this partnership, Jobber is offering an exclusive savings to BB listeners of 20% off for 6 months. To take advantage of this, find the Jobber link in the show description and get to improving your process today.
If that's the case, everything you spoke so far, and you have somewhat of an understanding of your route, we're both probably halfway, I would say, in this journey of our lifespan. What is the meaning of your journey then? Like, what is it, Keith? You've had plenty of time thinking about
Man,
this.
I
You're a
just
big thinker. I know that.
really, I just believe that the purpose of your life is to find out what God's will is for your life, and then completely, wholeheartedly surrender and go do that thing. Because after you die, a trillion years is going to go by. The earth is going to destroy itself, or it'll prosper and we'll move on to interplanetary species. Like, or whatever happens after a trillion years, the human, I can't even imagine it. It's a trillion years. We can't even think back like 1,000 years, or you know, you can watch like the Egyptians and who knows how long ago. Like, they're still finding out now that even when the Egyptians showed up, the pyramids were there, and they're like, where the hell did these come from? We'll just set up shop here. And then they started adding their own hieroglyphs. Like, we don't even know, bro. So after a trillion years goes by, you will be dead a trillion years, and that's just like the beginning of eternity. So who even, like, and I ask questions like, I know this sounds kind of depressing. I don't want to mess up everybody's thoughts. They're going to get off this podcast and be like, whoa, like, wait a second. So if infinity is like this long, and so that means our life must be completely outside of time and space, but it's just a little blip. It's not even a blip. So it's imperceptibly short. What the fuck is the point of doing anything? I might as well just fall over right now and just.
This is a conversation we've had a lot lately around here. So please elaborate.
Why are we doing any of this? Why are we even here? I have no idea. So I'm just trying to like be the best human being that I can be, inspire people. I have these conversations with my wife at night talking about like the other influencers and the other people, and they're just trying to like pimp their audience to get money, and because they want to, and they're obsessed with this they get a little dose of fame, and it goes to their heads, and they think because they got
dopamine,
this many subscribers, that like, fuck all that, bro. Like, I want to look into the camera and be like, and truly help people from the bottom of my heart, and just be the best human being I can be. That compass that points to true north. I can't even live up to what it's a privilege. Here it is. It is a privilege to even be able to participate in what God is going to do anyways.
Yep. Yeah. The understanding of that meaning makes you, and I see it with you, when I get to be with you and be around you and your family, there's an appreciation for that, right? Appreciation for your family, appreciation for your situation, that I struggled with. And I believe, you can correct me if I'm wrong, early on when all of a sudden when you were making videos and I started making videos, and there was this thing of like, oh shit, the fame starts to hit, you get a dopamine rush, and you're like, damn, like, oh yeah. So then you get obsessed with it a little bit. And I remember you telling me, you're like, one of our very first meetings and conversation, you're like, dude, I'm fucking obsessed. Like, obsessed. And I was like, oh shit, dude, I don't want to be obsessed. Yeah, I was like, oh shit, I don't want to be obsessed, but I just want to figure it out a little bit, right? And what I'm getting to, I guess, now it's my turn to talk around, I guess. What I'm getting to is that we had to go through that process, and the process that you have to go through right now, if your mind is like ours, you have to go through it. There's no way to not understand. There's no way to understand if you don't go through it, right? So the meaning that I just asked you for, that it's a privilege to participate in whatever we are here in God's creation, should be your number one gratitude that you thank every day. Because it's very easily for us just to not exist, right? And for me, the biggest thing is I can feel whether it's the world, whether it's the universe or the ether or whatever, I can feel us getting farther away from what made us as a human civilization joyful and happy overall as we chase things. And for me, I feel like my purpose, same thing. When I didn't focus on making money, that's when money came. When I focused on different things, that's all of a sudden when when I didn't focus on trying to be popular like somebody else and just was me. And I said, if this works, cool. If it don't, whatever. That's all of a sudden when things started to click, right? I started to align myself on this journey that was the one that was meant for me, that I had been fighting against this whole time, because I thought, because of the way I was impressioned, that wasn't what I was supposed to do. That I just was weird and was thinking those things, and that those are just thoughts you're not supposed to have. But I started following that, and found the meaning. I believe I found the meaning of my journey early and young, and or younger, I guess. And now people ask me about it. I have a really good friend that is pretty prominent in our industry, a really good friend and a mentor, and he has helped create many multi-million-dollar businesses for entrepreneurs in our industry. And I'm fortunate that mine's right at the cusp of 7 figures, always has been. But when we realized how I was and the way my mind went and the way my heart and my spirit flows, we knew that creating more money for me was not going to be a happy home for me. So we created the business designed so that I could do this, right? I've had some shitty stuff happen, man. And since that time, since you and I first met, the way people would look at my life, they'd be like, damn, that went to hell in a handbasket. But because I believe of the way that my atmosphere was created, it's not that bad. And I enjoy it. I enjoy it every day. Today, I really did crush. I was on 10. I've been feeling good, been eating good, woke up good. And I was like, got LASIK, so I'm not wearing glasses. And I don't know, dude. Today was the, yeah. So today was the day. I had 3 deliverables to hit. And before I got on with you, I did 6. And to me, it's like, this is what I'm supposed to do. I'm proud of myself. I'm happy. I'm happy doing this. As happy as I'm going to be here is living my life right now, probably. If I was to step out into somebody else's, I know what could be there. I'm good. Leave me in my lane. Let me do my thing. That's the meaning of my journey. Wherever it ends up and whatever I'm used for, I'm in the lane. I'm in the stream. Let me stay there and swim like I'm supposed to. I want to ask you about an overarching piece of advice. Not everybody thinks like you and I. Not everybody understands the world and breaks it down like you and I do in our brain. Not everybody's willing to stay up probably for all night thinking about one certain thing in our history, like you and I have on multiple nights. But if there are people who are like not at peace, you've talked to a lot, and your books are about that, right? Being untrapped in different ways and figuring out ways to overcome obstacles and issues in the entrepreneurial journey. What would it be? What do you hear the most? Like, what do you think you've given the most advice on, Keith? And
That's funny.
what would it be to somebody like us?
That's a repetitive theme. I've heard people come to me, I mean, my wife, and people say, like, you're like the landscaping therapist. You're more of a life coach than just a landscaper. You do the deep metaphysical stuff and the psychology. And so the videos that have created the most transformation for people based off what they tell me is the deep night videos, dive deep into overcoming self-limiting beliefs and creating certainty and about your path and where you're going, and overcoming depression and things like that. We just did a video on my YouTube channel about seasonal depression. So, and if people don't have peace, I can relate to that. If you need to get like a counselor, a therapist, or something like that, and that's great. Sometimes people in your life won't be there for you at a completely 100% present level where you can just get stuff off your chest. If you're not at peace, there's something deep down inside that could be unresolved, or there could be something external that's toxic that needs to be resolved. If you don't face that thing, it's like the whack-a-mole game, and then it'll pop up somewhere else. And so sometimes we're afraid to face things. My mother died of a crack heroin mixture overdose when I was 26, and I love my mom. She was amazing. Last night on the Alexa, I played some old like Randy Travis country music, and this song came on in the album that I haven't heard since I was a kid. And when it started playing, this emotion came over me, and my wife's on the couch. We're about to watch a movie. I just put my face on the pillow and I start sobbing. I transformed into like 9 or 10 again.
Yeah.
And I started, and now I let the emotions flow. And because before I have this fear that comes through me that if my wife sees me cry like that, that she'll become repulsed and disgusted and fall out of love with me and see me as a wussy man. So
Yep.
I would push down my emotions and not cry in front of her. And then it would cause worse. It would cause trauma inside of me because the emotion will literally, if you don't cry, it'll go and get trapped in your kidney or your fucking pancreas or your liver or something like that. Now you might have a worse problem, or it'll have. So I felt I pushed the emotion down last time I tried to cry, and I went in the bedroom and I was trying to force myself to cry, and I was whimpering a little bit and I couldn't, and it wouldn't come out, and I was like, fuck, that fucker's trapped in there now. Like that, the Enneagram, the pathology, which can turn into neurosis, and then if you don't handle it, some people can go into psychosis, like horrific depression, or get on drugs or alcohol. It's a trauma response, right? And so I started sobbing, crying, and I was like, I don't care, bro. I'm letting it flow. And I cried harder and harder. And she's like, what is wrong with you? What the fuck is wrong with you? But she didn't understand. I can't believe I'm saying this right now, bro. The song was about, I can't even think of the words, a relationship. Like it's over. You have done packed your bags. You're a long time ago. And then you're trying to come back into my life, but it's too late. And you're gone for good. It's one of those country songs, right?
Yeah.
But as a kid, I didn't understand any of that. I just felt the emotions of the song. And I remember my mom had a beautiful heart and she loved country music, and it was a vinyl record, bro. This is like in the early 90s, right? And me playing that is when I fell in love with country music and learned how to play the piano and sing. And I sang in front of like my whole school, and I got into music, and like it was country music. So when I heard this music playing, it brought me back to being a little kid in the projects and the love of my mother. And crying of how, it was this unresolved whatever feeling of knowing that I actually, this is funny, my older sister, who's like 46, she's a music teacher, she's a master vocalist, she's a jazz singer, she's a beautiful human being. She sent me a picture she found in my mom's chest when my mom died of me. I was this little kid with blonde hair and brown eyes. She said, you were such a good little boy, Keith. You were so perfect, and you had so many questions. You were just you were such a good little boy. And she started to cry a little bit because she found these pictures and she remembered how good I was. And then I said, I'm a grown ass man. I was a good little boy, bro. I start sobbing on the phone with my sister because I never knew I was good.
Thinking about it.
I was ignored in so much as a little kid, and I felt abandoned, like I was invisible. So to know that I was a good little boy and I was loved, all this love came pouring in. I started crying on the phone, and my sister and I were having a good cry together, and it was very healing. So last night, I'm crying on the couch, and my wife is hearing the words to the song, and she's like, are you crying about another woman or something? And I'm like, no, shut the fuck up. Just let me cry. I'm healing. Don't intercept this. Like, and then I this shame was coming through because I was embarrassed, but I pushed it all out, and I just let myself cry it all out, and it was amazing. And then the next song came on. It was on his album, You've Been Too Gone for Too Long. It's too late to come back. And then I start dancing around, and I'm fucking dancing around the living room, laughing with tears like a bipolar. She's like, this is where you're fucking bipolar. And I knew in the back of my head, dude, I'm mentally healthy. I'm having a moment right now. This is beautiful. And I feel comfortable to act this out in front of my wife. I don't care. This is my house, our marriage. And so the insecure part of me, if my wife in the past would say, you're fucking bipolar, I would literally, like, she's just saying because I'm acting bipolar. I am being bipolar in this moment, but I know what's actually happening inside of me. So I used to internalize that and go, fuck, my wife thinks I'm bipolar. And I'd go call Coach Rob and be like, dude, I don't know what to do. My wife's calling me bipolar. I need to do, like, I'm not a fucking bipolar. And I would make a whole thing about it. But it's like, there's a dynamic bandwidth of emotions and healing. So, and I realized this overarching thing is that human beings are so spiritually like not developed, and we're not together like we should be in tribes and be able to tell each other our dreams and laugh and cry together and heal together. We're fucked up, bro. So that you should feel comfortable to be able to cry or hold your father in like, bro, I never talk about my father, but last week, right before I went to speak in Atlanta, My dad's van kept breaking down, and my wife was at the table. She's like, "Just give him your fucking truck. I have another truck. We just put like $3,600 into it, and it runs great, bro." So I show up at my dad's house with the title, with the keys. We go to Secretary of State. We transfer the title, put a new battery in it. I gave him gas money, everything he needed, bro. Like, because his van kept breaking down. It's winter, and he was like, and I gave my dad a truck. And I even took him to the insurance agency and got everything all set up. And truck starts right up, bro. We put a fresh quart of oil in there, ready to rock, bro. And then my dad likes to scrap. There's a washer and a dryer like right down the street from us. He's like, "Will you help me pick that shit up real quick?"
My dad likes to scrap.
Yeah, so
I don't know what hit me, dude. There's so many ways you could say my dad likes to scrap. Whether it's like this or whether it's like putting metal in the back of a truck, both those that guy loves both of those. The guy who loves to scrap loves to take metal and fight. I found that out every single time. Is that true?
Ooh.
Does your dad like to fight?
He's very argumentative. He likes to start because he just wants attention.
Yeah, he wants to scrap.
Hasn't been like married since my mom died. My mom, they've been divorced forever. But I actually found out that my dad and my mom were still kind of seeing each other. But anyways,
that's for the next episode.
And I'm like, that's awesome.
Like to scrap.
But I went up to my dad. It's freezing cold out, and it's just father and son. And the truck's running. We just loaded up this washer and dryer, and I go hop in my truck. But before I did it, I gave my dad a hug that I haven't given him in a long time, and I held my father standing outside with the truck running, and he said that he just couldn't help himself. He was emotional. He goes, that really helped me out a lot. Thank you. And I hugged my dad. And I said, "I love you, Dad." He goes, I love you too, like that. And I went and I maintained my composure because I went, and then I felt out of the blue. I go hop in my truck to start driving. Emotions, poop. I'm just sobbing because of how much I love my father and how much I've been upset. Like, this guy's a fucking asshole. He, like,
I don't know.
Fuck all that, bro. I could be at his funeral tomorrow and be crying because I didn't.
I know.
Give my father what I could have and should have, and just cut the beef. That's my fucking dad, bro. And he's not perfect. That's between him and God. And so it's like,
you're alive, dude. You're alive.
I'm alive.
Yeah,
so,
you're alive.
When I'll sum it up with this: when the door's closed and now you can't do X, Y, or Z. I don't give a fuck how much money you got in the bank or nothing. When you can't give it away and you can't participate in what God is going to do anyways, and the option to participate is gone, and you can beg and cry, it's too fucking late. And the feeling of knowing that now you can't participate, doesn't matter what you have. You could be sitting in a big house with money and all types of shit, bro. It all turns black and cold, and now, like, you're the one experiencing that purgatory and that hell. Bro, if you got to say something to somebody, like, sorry, I don't want to go down too deep down that path, but I've felt those feelings because of the mercy and grace of God. The sun came out again and the clouds parted, and I got a second chance to be able to tell people. So, like, I'm calling up Aunt Mary and shit on a Friday night. Aunt Mary, you fell and hurt your arm. Is everything okay? It's like, I'm calling up family members and telling them I love them and talking. Like,
I know, man. No, it was a good piece of advice, to be honest with you. And to be honest with you, the way you elaborated on it was perfect. I think that shows that people need to be reminded of what's important. And it's easy to forget, man, the rat race. And sometimes you end up getting enlightened late. Sometimes you get enlightened early. But I have a feeling it's all for the purpose, and the timing is perfect. No matter what, for every journey that everybody's on. Never enough time. I told you when we were going to do this, it wouldn't be enough. Where can people find you online if they want to follow, dude? You got a new book coming out? Did I see that right recently? You got a new book coming out, or it's on audiobook, or what do we got going on?
The book's done, but we're recording the audio version right now, so we can have both. I just finished my 4th book. So on Amazon or Audible, just give me Keith Kalfas everywhere. Keith Kalfas, Amazon, Keith Kalfas, Audible, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Keith Kalfas. I don't know if it relate to, but I don't know what they want, because I've
whatever
would be to make the most amount.
Shoot, dude. You end
just
up
go to Keith Kalfas anywhere.
Yeah,
my podcast.
Yeah, yep. Yeah, dude. The big thing is the resource that you've been, and you've been an incredible resource for me. I know you don't intend to be an individual resource most of the time, because you help out so many people, and your content helps out a lot of people, but
for me, it's been the individual impact that you've had on my journey, and I really appreciate that. And I appreciate you bringing that to our audience here in the asphalt world and with Blacktop Banter. We greatly appreciate that. Looking forward to working together more in the future. What a journey and what a blessing it is for us to be able to do this, dude, and for us to be in each other's lives this long and work together this long. It's just crazy to me, the way the ether and the universe works to bring everything together. So I really, really appreciate that, man.
Yeah, dog. Thank you, sir. Thanks for having me on my show. Thanks for having me on your show, and thank to everybody listening.
Yeah, no worries. All right, guys. As always, find us on social media and online, Blacktop Banter everywhere. And please go over to blacktopbanter.com. For myself, for Keith Kalfas, this is Blacktop Banter, and we speak asphalt. Peace.
Hey everybody, Marvin here from Blacktop Banter. And if you enjoy the podcast and what we've been bringing to the industry, you can support us through a one-time or recurring donation at blacktopbanter.com. There we have a support tab. You click that and choose your path from there. If you listen on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, please do us a favor and leave a review there for us as well. As always, we speak asphalt, and thanks for your support.